With the season finale in Abu Dhabi closing in, and let's admit it, the races there are kinda boring, I thought it would be a great time for me to do a how to enjoy a boring race video with some helpful tips and tricks that can help you enjoy the race and make it so much more fun. The first one is be prepared. I think one of the best ways to enjoy a boring race is to prepare yourself beforehand, to know exactly what to look for in Sunday's race. The best resource is the official F1 website, where before the race there's always an article entitled "What to watch for in this Grand Prix," where there are some key points of interest that might actually be very helpful. You have on screen here some of the info that was placed in the article for the Russian Grand Prix. We have a close fight for the podium, Red Bull, McLaren, Renault and Racing Point all in the mix, or tricky track conditions forcing mistakes, or even Russell still chasing points. The Williams driver has now made Q2 on 6 occasions this season. Every single info that is on this website can actually give you something to watch for the next day on Sunday's race. It can actually make the race a whole lot more interesting because you have something to focus on. You're not watching the race and you're not watching people go around in circles, you have something to focus on. Here you can actually gain some pretty interesting insight that can make the race fly by and can make it so much more fun. Watch the midfield. Well, we can all agree that everybody knows who's gonna win the next race, right? After years of Mercedes and Red Bull dominance, I think we can all agree that the real action and drama happens in the midfield rather than at the front of the grid. The midfield is as close as it can get. Cars in the midfield are a lot closer, and I mean a lot closer, and often every amazing overtake happens in the midfield. Teams like Racing Point, McLaren and Renault, and now even Ferrari, are separated by just a few points. That's how close it is in the midfield. Not only the Constructors' Championship is close, but the Drivers' Championship is often a lot closer in the midfield. The drivers are fighting very hard to secure 4th place in the Drivers' Championship at the moment, and this happens almost every year. Last year, Carlos Sainz in the McLaren overtook Hülkenberg with just 10 corners to go in the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and therefore secured 6th place in the Drivers' Championship. That was so close, that was just 10 corners to go in the 2019 season and he secured 6th place. So instead of focusing on who will win the race, try to look further back in the midfield because that's where the action happens. Even in a boring race, the action is very, very good in the midfield. Look beyond the race. Formula 1 is not really about driving in circles, right? There's a lot of drama that's happening in the background that might actually make the races a lot more interesting if you know all that drama. Right now, the best example is with Perez. He doesn't have a seat for 2021 at the moment of this recording, and we don't really know if he's gonna get one or not. So in the Turkish Grand Prix where he got a podium, that podium meant a whole lot more than just points and positions. That's a man that's fighting for his career. And when he gets a podium and the man he's competing with for that seat is getting 5th and 6th place, you start to look at things differently. Every single race has something going on in the background. Some drama, some fighting, some crucial points that can actually make the race interesting even if it doesn't have a lot of overtakes. So knowing what's happening in the background can actually make the race feel more like a soap opera than a sport. A great resource for that is, of course, Netflix's Drive to Survive, where the focus is not so much on the racing, but on what's happening in the background. If you watch that show, or if you've watched that show, you know that there's a whole of a lot more to Formula 1 than just driving in circles. Live timings and F1 TV magic, those two go beautifully hand in hand. You can watch the live timings for free on the F1 app or website, and you can see individual sector times. Seeing Hamilton and Bottas running in 1-2 can feel boring, but when you see Verstappen, for example, in 3rd place being 2 seconds faster, you can start seeing that an overtake is possible, or that Verstappen is on an in-lap and is preparing for a pit stop. You can gain a lot of info just by looking at the numbers. If you have an F1 TV subscription, it's even better. You can follow the pit lane channel where you see 3 different screens at once, you hear a different commentary, and you get to listen to a lot more team radios if that's something that you're into. The F1 TV app even offers onboards for every driver, so you can watch your favorite driver and hear every single word he's saying to his engineer, which I have to admit is pretty cool and pretty amazing. I mean, that's how I watch Formula 1 races. I have 4 different screens opened at once. I have the Formula 1 feed, I have live timings, I have the pit lane channel, and I have some onboards of my favorite drivers. You gain so much more info and you actually get to enjoy the race even more, even if it's something like the Russian Grand Prix or the French Grand Prix that aren't so interesting. Social media. This is pretty self-explanatory and it's a pretty weak argument, but now with all the social media stuff, it's so much easier to talk to other fans than it was a few years ago. In the middle of the race, free practice, or quali, you may see a pop-up saying, "Join the conversation." In free practice and sometimes in quali, commentators might actually read your tweets. This is super cool. I usually watch every single free practice session, and the commentators always pick some questions and some discussion points from social media, and they actually talk extensively on the topics someone brings up, and they actually read the username of the guy who actually posted a question, which is very, very cool. Think about the driver of the day. Here's a small tip. Think about the driver of the day. Even if it's a boring race, there's always a driver that deserves this award. So spend a bit of time in the middle of the race thinking about who's your vote going to, and keep your eyes pinned to that driver and see if indeed he deserves your vote or not. Again, this gives you something to focus on a boring race rather than just watching the cars go around in circles. Get a race buddy. I saved this for last, and this completely revolutionized the way I watch races. Get a race buddy. Have a friend watch a Formula 1 race with you, remotely or on the couch. It's really awesome to have another fan that can appreciate the sport. The races get 10 times funnier and more enjoyable if you have someone to watch it with. So yeah, that was all I have. I hope those tips can make you enjoy races like the Russian Grand Prix or the French Grand Prix. I'm joking, those two can't be saved no matter how hard we try. Okay, that's it, stay safe and happy race watching.